I suddenly lost Frederick, who should be playing with us. So we're gonna wait a little bit longer as we fight the ghosts in the machine. There they are. Welcome back. And welcome to Stille Nacht. We're professionals. At least we're not muted, I think. If I'm muted, let me know down in the chat. So this is a very improv game. That's going to be moderately melancholy, probably because we're dealing with people who died in a terrible flood in 1717 in North Germany. We're going to quickly go around and have people introduce themselves and who they're playing, and then we are going to finish our setup on stream so you can all follow along as we decide what happened in this village 3 years ago. And then we'll get into the actual game. I'll start with my top left, and then you can popcorn it. Doc.
I'm Doc. I am going to be playing Matthias. He's a 37-year-old fisherman.
Eva, I just lost all cameras on Twitch. Please hold. I mean, I already listened to Seth swearing at technology for 15 minutes today. This might as well be added on.
Listen, I've had a nap since then.
Do you want to try Clue again?
Is that honestly gonna
help? See if we can get one?
Oh no, I want to play it more than once. I just, it literally, like, my brain, I cannot explain to you how much it did not make sense in, like, any way. I was so confused on, like, an academic level.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it.
I was like, I had 2/3 correct, and the third one was just such a guess. And then I hopped into voice with Kappa in our little ghost chat, and he guessed the same wrong thing. Damn it!
What are the odds? That's amazing.
Captions are still going.
I know.
That's It's fine.
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
Sad, but fine. Oh, I see people! Hello, people! Hey.
Ah!
People!
Yay!
Alright.
And we're back.
I'm still so pink. I'm gonna live with it. I'm gonna live with the pink. I'm gonna own the pink. Doc, you were telling us who you are and what who you're playing.
Yes. So I am going to be playing Matthias. He's a 37-year-old fisherman who 3 years ago lost his family in the flood. Since then, he has committed to drowning his sorrows and his loss by climbing into a bottle, and he has just been getting by ever since.
Nominate one of your fellow players.
What was that?
Am I quiet again?
Oh, you were before.
Volunteer one of your fellow players to go next.
Seth.
Hi, I am Kestra. I am the village physician. I was married, but unfortunately, he died. In the flood, I also lost my best friend. People in the village know me as having a lot of money, which I don't think there's anything wrong with. But they consider me to be more wealthy than I should be. They consider me to be miserly, and they consider me to be manipulative. And yet, everybody needs a physician at some point. So, yeah, I am going to nominate Ren.
That's me. Hello. My name is Ren, though tonight I will be playing the role of Lucas Winchester, and I am a middle-aged man in my mid to late 20s, and I am the village teacher. I prefer to call myself a tutor of sorts, of the musical, for the musically talented, and I am doing quite well, getting by, despite the fact that the flood recently has stolen from me my wife and my children, the lights of my life, though I fill my time with academic pursuits and music. The villagers around me know me to be honest and studious.
Honest bit, but for now, I think at least we're alive.
I'm assuming it's my turn. Okay. Hey guys, I'm Rekolai. Pronunciation can go either way. I will be playing Frederick Hagen today. I am a shepherd, but unfortunately, I lost my flock due to the flood. So, kinda had to start over from that. Pretty easygoing, middle-aged. You know, just want to work with my animals, shear some wool. You know, it's a living.
All right. So, having met our villagers, this time we're doing part of our setup on stream, and we're going to decide on the ghost's identity. Let's see. Seth, what was the name of the deceased?
Oh, why do I have to do that?
'Cause you're so smart and pretty and good at everything. Oh wow, we have a huge OBS commercial on stream. First you crash and then you try to sell us something. Typical.
Right? It's like, hey, I don't work right. You want to pay for me?
Yeah.
I vibe with that. Okay, the deceased's name is... There was one that I liked and I almost picked, so I'm going to scroll back up and pick that one. The name is... Wow, I can't remember it now.
I need some kind of soundboard with little drum rolls.
I know.
Wait, where's the Jeopardy waiting music? I know I put it in Roll20 at some point.
This is important, okay?
Yeah, no, I don't blame you.
Can't
I
use-
just want the Jeopardy waiting music.
No, it can't-
Tatya?
no copyrighted music.
Is that how it's pronounced? Tatya? The
like,
gender neutral? Tatje?
Tatje.
Tatje.
Tatje. Right.
So like a soft J.
Yes.
Okay.
And everything very short. Touch.
Touch.
Okay.
That is.
Who shall I take next? There it is. Doc, what was their occupation?
Oh boy.
If you want to,
Carpenter.
carpenter. All right. Ren, how old were they at the time of death?
Oh, they were they were 22.
Let's see. Rack. Where was their body found? You're picking the site of the murder, unless someone knows
Their body was found.
their body. Where was their body?
Body was found in a lake.
Let's go back around the other way. Ren, where were they put to rest?
Were they put to rest? In a graveyard? Duh.
Look, after the flood, there were practically no graveyards left. You have to make a new one. That's dedication.
Well, somebody's got to be a gravedigger.
Hey, Seth, you're playing the physician. You probably did the autopsy. What was the cause of death?
Cause of death was, let's see here. Cause of death was just like an excessive aspiration of water, so drowning.
Drowning. And then, Doc, last but not least, what was their public image?
What was the question?
What was their public image? What was Touch's public image? How do people perceive our dearly deceased carpenter?
Studious, well loved.
So, we're going to go back around to all of you lovely people, and you may describe, well, I say may, must describe your social connection to the ghost before their death. Whether you were related to them, or they owed you money, or they were teaching you something, or they were having an affair with you. All valid options. You can make up just about anything. And then also describe how the village would have perceived the relationship between you two. So, were you usually seen being friendly? Were you having blow-up fights in front of the church? That sort of thing. Is there anyone who already has a great idea who wants to go first? Katie. Sorry, hella distracted. Look how cute he is.
I suppose I can go. Well, they recently came to me for private lessons on the... Fuck, I had something for this. What instrument would a carpenter play?
I pigeonhole them as a carpenter. What kind of instrument does any 22-year-old in a boring as fuck village want to play? What's available? What instrument do you have in a North German village in 1717?
Piano.
Were people aware that Tacho was having private piano lessons with you? Or were they
Yes.
Tachi was already described as studious. Was he a good piano student? Were they a good piano student?
They were passable at best, though they spent too much time on their carpentry. They did not practice enough to become quite good, which was a point of contention.
Fair enough. Not enough dedication. All right. 3 people left.
My relationship with them would be one of passing cordiality. We would have sold I would have sold my fish probably in the same market as them. So we knew each other with a passing business partner, but not really. I mean, we didn't work together, but more of like a fellow merchant type relationship. And that's how we perceived each other in passing.
Kinda co-workers. Kinda. Okay.
What was that?
I'm waiting for one of your friends to take the bait. Tell us about their deepest relationships with the dearly departed.
Sure. Tasha was a frequent customer of mine. They would come by every week or so, buy some wool, and they would use it to make little stuffed toys out of them.
And was this a public harmonious relationship?
Oh yeah, it was. They would. People would always ask them like, "Oh, where did you get these lovely stuffed toys from?" And they would say, "Oh, I made them myself. I would get the wool from Frederick."
All right. Leaving us with Kestra.
I didn't really know Tatcha that well. I saw them a couple of times. I knew who they were, but aside from the few times that they actually needed some kind of medical attention, I didn't know them any better than I would know another random villager.
So why would you care that they died? Because you're just from creating a narrative around discovering this ghosty person. A lot of you are very distant to this person. You're about to be called to a seance concerning their death. Why would you care?
Well, I would like to know who drowned them.
Curiosity. Just straight up curiosity.
Academic curiosity.
Okay.
And also concerned for my own safety, of course.
Of course. Why wouldn't you be transparently a murderer amongst you? Question to Seth. Your Zoom says Kestra, your overlay says Kesta. What is your actual
did I? Entirely possible that I typoed. It is in fact Kersta, sorry.
Kersta.
I can't read.
It's alright, these things happen. Normally the game asks one single person to record the ghost story that I would be using at the end to recount my final day on Earth. We noticed last time that that's a bit much for a single person, so once again we have a shared Google Doc where people can add their own bits and pieces as far as note-taking goes. Everybody already has their roles. We have a murderer who did the killing. We have an aide who helped said killer, and we have bystanders who were near the crime scene during the murder, but they may not even have been aware of what was going on, or if they were, they didn't do anything about it. So we're playing in a village. How big is this village?
I would think quite small. Small, medium size-ish.
We're 3 years post-flood. How extensive was the damage done by the flood? A lot of you lost family. How much of the physical structures were left standing?
Not many of them. Perhaps some of the larger buildings, the more sturdy ones, mostly made out of stone, but a lot of the lumber and wood buildings have been destroyed.
I would think that being in such close proximity to the lake did not bode well for many residential areas that were possibly close to the lake, so.
Fair enough. And how has the village been faring since then? I already made a joke in chat that there are no economic stimulus relief packages in 1717. We know the doctor's doing well, but as a whole, how's the village holding up?
Getting by. There's obviously been some damage to the local economy. Everybody's kind of just making it. The doctor's kind of a necessary job, so they're kind of doing a little bit better than everybody else. But it's rough. It's not easy right now.
Are there any landmarks or buildings you as players definitely want in the village before we start, or are you making them all up as we go along? Like, do you need a church? Was there... we already established there was a marketplace where Matthias and Tatje sold wares together. There is apparently something resembling a surgery, because that's where the good doctor resides.
I would think that there has to be a tavern.
Tavern? Yeah. Usually in I was not saying old German village, but also in current German villages, usually opposite the church. For a very good reason. So usually go out one door and in the other.
We did establish there's a graveyard as well.
This is true. There is also a graveyard.
Maybe near the church as well.
Yeah. Probably need to be sacred ground, so you'd bless part of the area behind the church.
I think Rakalai had suggested a windmill as well.
Windmill. Perfect. Are there any other things you desperately want in this village?
Can we have a ridiculous stone obelisk in the middle of the marketplace?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's for a village. Okay. So, final reminder, we're going through the day in time frames, basically. After every part of the day, I'm asking you for verity checks, and you send me either truth or lie on Discord. And I roll to see if Tatje's spirit will use you. First, a little bit of setup as I do a posture check because I am slouching. Sorry. Alright. I did not write down the village name. Or did we still not name it? Are we just calling it the village?
I'll think of something. What about Grimsbury? Grimsbury?
Potentially renamed after certain tragic events.
Yeah.
Love it.
Love to see it.
Here for it.
3 years after the flood that absolutely devastated not just Grimsby, but just the entire coast of Germany, the Netherlands, and most of Denmark. The village of Grimsby did not come out of the flood or through the flood very well. Many buildings were destroyed. Many people died. Whole flocks were lost. And if that wasn't bad enough, on the day of the flood, Taki was murdered, drowned before the rising waters even reached the village itself. And Taki's spirit has not found peace. And ever since Christmas Eve 1717, they have been haunting the village. So every Christmas Eve, as people would normally prepare to sit down for dinner with their loved ones and do the old pagan ritual of lighting little candles in their Christmas trees. Not in Grimsby. People go inside, turn off the lights, keep their doors closed, because Tachi isn't alone. He brings every single person who drowned in the flood to walk the streets in creepy, see-through ghost form. And people who are caught outside at the wrong time have a tendency to show up dead in the following weeks themselves. So after the first year, people very quickly learn to avoid these apparitions at all costs. And now, this year, people are trying to do it a little differently. A medium has been found to lead a seance to contact Tachi's spirit and see if they can figure out this murder and give the village some more peace and be able to move on a little better after the events in 1717. So, the medium arrived in this village a few days ago and has already been asking around a little, doing a little pre-work. Who knew Taki? Who did they hang out with? All that sort of thing. And after those little interviews, the four of you specifically have been asked to meet the medium in the old windmill to have a seance. The medium has asked you there at nightfall. And I'd like to know which one of you will be the first to arrive here.
I will. Oh, I think that I would arrive sometime earlier than asked. Sorry, I have a kitten biting at my ankles. Okay. I would arrive sometime earlier than asked. I'm going to have my probably not bring any work things with me. This is a visit of curiosity. None of this makes much sense to me, but since I was asked and since it has to do with a death and an autopsy that I performed, I feel obliged to be there. So I will arrive and sort of reluctantly enter the windmill to greet the medium. Anniek, I lost all sound from you.
Oh, again? How's this? Great. I touched absolutely nothing. Yes, they incline their head at you and simply greet you with a doctor.
I'm not sure how should I address you?
Ma'am, will do.
Ma'am, it's good to meet you. I am Kersta,
Judith.
and I will take a seat.
She has in fact set up a small table in this little mill. No actual chairs, more like crates dragged nearby. She's been drawing some circles on the floor with some. Maybe Gesta might spot them as runes. I mean, you are a doctor in 1720 Germany. They're Nordic runes. Most of them to do with summoning rituals and piercing the veil between worlds.
I think I'm just going to. Actually, I like the idea that I think that Kersta might pull out like a very small notebook and just kind of jot down some of the runes being used.
The main one is Uru, and it's like an upside down U, which is the actual symbol for piercing the veil between worlds. That's the main theme.
It's interesting.
I imagine I would probably arrive at some point shortly after Kersta. I do like to be punctual, so I would stride up to the windmill, fairly average height, yada yada, glasses, simple clothing, and I will push the door open and slowly look in. Hello?
I will look up and simply nod in acknowledgement.
Right?
Hello?
I appreciate you coming.
Of course. I don't see any reason not to be here. Should I take a seat? Should I stand?
Oh, please be seated. We'll be forming a circle shortly, so anywhere on these crates you feel comfortable.
Thank you.
No chairs, I'm afraid. Procuring the table turned out to be quite difficult enough.
I imagine so, especially for someone passing through. And your name is?
My apologies. Judith. I will be leading the seance. You won't be dealing with me much. I'll be channeling titular.
Sounds ghastly. Okay. Lucas, thank you.
Could occasionally be unpleasant, but I find that the truth is worth it.
With that, I will just kind of give an awkward head nod and sit and make a point of not making eye contact.
Judith is it's one of those women that would, you're not sure if she's 13 or 30, and just medium everything. Medium height, medium size, medium brown hair. And yes, it is a medium joke. Who would show up next?
I'll come in. Kind of poke my head in, see that there are already people there. Step inside, take my cap off. Kind of tuck it into my coat. Give him a little smile, a little nod, and say, "Hello, everyone. Good to see you. You must be the medium."
I am Judith.
Frederick. Good to meet you.
Please choose a seat.
Very well. I'll take this one. I'll walk over, have a seat, kind of give everyone another nod, and wait.
Matthias is last, obviously. He's going to arrive probably a couple minutes after he was told to be there. And he's slowly dragging his feet and kind of opens the door nonchalantly and kind of just strides in the door and just nods at the medium and takes the open seat without saying a word.
All of you for joining us. I know I am am merely passing through. You have no obligation to assist with any of this, but I assume you will want our village to be safe again. I hope I can be of assistance. I can only help, however, if I will be channeling to school, and as you may have noticed over the last 3 years, restless spirits tend to be dangerous. Caught out in too many lies may lead to harm to me or any of you, to the point of death. So I will once again strongly advise you to be honest. You're all quite ready for this?
Yeah, I think so.
I do have work to get back to, so the sooner we can finish, the better.
You're a braver person than I am. I prefer not to work on a night like this. Yet here I am.
Unfortunately, physicians have no such leisure.
Judith will finish drawing the final mark on her summoning circle, sealing herself and all of you in. The summoning circle glows a kind of bluish light. You notice there were 2 open seats left. Judith takes one of the open seats, closes her eyes, and simply says, "Tatya, please, we have questions for you. We want to help you remember. We want to help you find the truth." And after mere seconds, a very disheveled but recognizable shade of Tatya is sitting in that final seat, looking at each and every one of you. We start by looking at Matthias, simply asking, "What is my name?"
Tatya.
He turns to Kirsten. "How old was I at the time of my death?"
You were only 22.
Turns to Lucas. "What were my daily chores?"
You were a carpenter by trade.
They turn to Frederick. "Where was my body found?"
The lake. We found you in the lake.
"I died 3 years ago, but my soul finds no rest. I merely drift aimlessly. Year after year, I am pulled back here. I wish to move on. Frederick, are you here to help me remember how I died so I may rest in peace?"
Yes, I'm here to do what I can.
"Lucas, are you here to help me remember how I died so I may rest in peace?"
I'll do what I can.
"Kirsten, are you here to help me remember how I died so I may rest in peace?"
Of course.
"Matthias, are you here to help me remember how I died so I may rest in peace?"
That will bring some peace to our town, then yes.
Those are our first verity checks. Please send me a message if you were telling the truth or a gross lie. Certain people as you all answer like your spirit, you see Judith. Her face is just like a mask of pain for a second, as she just gasps, "I told you not to lie." Let me just grab a D4. Kirsta, please take 1 harm. As
Very well.
this spirit just lashes out at you, and you all feel just this pressure in your mind, but for Kirsta, it's a physical problem. Like there's a little bit of a nosebleed.
Very well.
Aren't they, Doc?
Simple questions, it seems.
Silas just pulls his coat around him. He feels chilled.
Lies, I can find a glimmer of truth. We shall continue. Kirsta, on the morning of my last day on Earth, I was going to the church to light a candle. Why did our paths cross?
Well, I remember at that time of the morning, I was between patients and work, and I thought I would step outside for some fresh air. You passed by my surgery, and I believe that our paths crossing was little more than a simple nod of acknowledgement.
Matthias, I saw you inside the church and I called out to you. You didn't react. Why?
Sorry, I must not have heard you. I didn't realize you were there.
Lucas, why were you and Kirsta ignoring each other?
Kirsta and I focus in different academic circles, and we don't quite appreciate one another's efforts. My apologies, Kirsta.
None needed.
What were you doing that morning? Eric?
Oh, me. Sorry, I didn't actually hear my name. I was taking my flock out to pasture. Let them graze.
I very briefly thought you said clock, and I just pictured you lugging this giant grandfather clock out to the pasture.
Yeah, with my grandfather clock.
Yeah.
that's how I keep track of how long it takes them to eat.
If you could all please send me your verity checks again. I hope you're either gonna like stop lying or get better at lying, because Because if you all die in the first 15 minutes, that would be the shortest Stille Nacht stream I have ever played.
Listen, I want to be memorable.
Went out in a blaze of glory. Alright. Grandma Death. There. The clock was alive. I have a system. It all makes sense. This is fine. Touch's spirit seems pleased with the answers you have given. I am once again horribly distracted by someone playing drums on a cat. Frederick, I know I saw you at noon when the church bells rang. But I don't remember where. Tell me, where was I and what was I doing there?
You were in the market square. I was going in to grab a bit of lunch before returning home for the day.
Lucas, who else was with me?
You were in the market square with your master carpenter who was teaching you the craft.
I don't seem to remember their name.
Winston.
I see. Kirsta, why were you in such a hurry?
There was an emergency at the surgery, and I had just gotten word that I was needed.
Why was it so noisy at the marketplace? I mean, it was always loud, but it was worse than normal. What was going on?
This is for me or Matthias?
For you still, it was more of a follow-up.
Oh, okay. Okay, so the marketplace you said was
Noisier than normal.
I believe there was some minor festival of some kind. I don't know. I don't pay attention to these things, but it did seem like everybody had gathered in the market square that day. Indeed.
I see. Matthias, what were you doing at midday? So I can't hard dock this time. I could barely hear you.
I was getting ready to put the day's catch out for sale in the market.
Can everyone please send me their rarity checks? I'm glad you're all seeing the urgency and the importance of this matter and decided to. I swear to God, I'm going to kill whatever software is doing this to me, and I'm 90% certain it's you. It's also fucking with my camera. Can you hear me again?
You were a little soft at the beginning, but I hear you just fine.
It's like every time I start over, it's extra soft, and then after I talk for a while, it's suddenly normal again. So annoying. Oh great, now my voice is fucked as well. Extra drama. Touch's spirit maintains eye contact with you and just says, I'm glad you're finally realizing the importance of cooperation. Now, Lucas, in the early afternoon, the winds got so strong that the steeple of the church fell backwards onto its own roof and collapsed part of the building. It caused an enormous commotion and many people were in trouble. You were there to help, weren't you?
No, I was not. I'm not much use in the matter of physical labor.
Were you simply not nearby, or were you there and decided to stand aside?
I stood aside.
Frederick, how did I get hurt?
Well, from what I heard from someone else, I wasn't actually there, but I hear you were trying to lift a particularly heavy piece of debris, and slipped and just caught your foot.
I understand Lucas standing aside. He's a very frail person, but you didn't help either. Why not?
That was for me. Sorry, you were quiet again at the beginning.
It was for you. Answer the question. Stop dodging.
I was tired from working all morning, fishing, and getting everything set out for sale. I didn't feel like I could be much of use in my state.
Krista, someone fought. Who was it and why?
Ah, yes. That was a matter of, I was there, of course, as the physician to oversee and try to mitigate any injuries. It's a good thing I was there. However, I was not pleased with the fact that in a situation like this, that everyone who was able to help was not. So it was Matthias and I.
Lucas, what were you doing in the afternoon?
I had been on my way to one of my tutoring lessons when the incident occurred, so I stopped and dallied.
If you will please send me your verity checks. I also feel like I should warn you that we are at memory 1, but also wrath 1.5. Rules-wise, Wrath 2 means you can, as a villager, either break the circle and try to flee, regardless of the consequences to you or your fellow villagers. It also means that you can confess to the murder regardless of whether or not you actually did it. And in both those instances, we immediately move to game end, which may or may not be a happy ending. Considering the way you're going, probably not a happy ending. Yeah, why are you people sending me full sentences? I just need truth or lie. You're making me read.
I did no such thing.
Too much Among Us.
Some of you.
I sent you one word.
Yes, Seth, gold star.
Thank you.
Let me go back and read the document so I know if something was a lie or not. Most of you notice the spirit of Datje looking a little less see-through and a little more corporeal. Lucas, you do feel an odd pressure in the back of your head. Frederick. In the evening, the wind died down. And it even stopped raining for a little while, for the first time in days. So I wanted to go for a walk, clear my head. Why did you stop me?
Oh yeah, I stopped you because I was going to go into market the next day with some wool. Wanted to know if you wanted to reserve some bags. You know, want me to set aside some stock.
Business. Kirsta, I lost something, or something was taken from me. It's very vague. Which was it? And what was it?
Tatya, something was taken from you.
What was it that was taken from me?
It was one of those dolls that you make or made that you like so dearly.
I was very fond of the things I crafted. Lucas, I saw you look incredibly disappointed. What happened?
You see, after the incident in the afternoon, the student I was meeting to tutor had to cancel their lesson because of the incident.
Why would that incident mean they had to cancel their lesson?
They were needed for their skills elsewhere.
Matthias, why did you stay inside even though the weather had finally cleared up?
was cold. I was trying to get warm from being out on the water all morning and standing up by the church. It's dreadfully cold.
Cold weather is not something that would really deter you. Anyway. Karsta, what were you doing in the evening?
I was finishing up cleaning the surgery, and I was going to go to the tavern and unwind for once.
Count the amount of times I've seen you in a tavern on one hand.
Indeed.
Can everyone please send me their verity checks again? I do love a game that lets me roll dice, but it's very tricky when I'm the only one rolling dice and doing administration at the same time. Just watch me play with myself. Alright. For especially Kersta, who had an unpleasant experience at the start, you notice the look on Judith's face before you all feel that same horrible pressure inside your head. Let's roll it 4. Matthias, please take a point of harm. As you continue to lie to this poor, confused spirit who's only trying to find out how he died so he can move on. I know I said in chat break in 15 minutes, but technically now would be a good time narrative-wise, and also I have to pee like a racehorse. So I'd like just a 15-minute break and then come back to it and see if Eva really did it. Bye guys, see you soon. And welcome back, just as more fireworks explode in my neighborhood and I have to console my dogs again. Welcome back to Stille Nacht, where we are trying to discover who blatantly murdered Tatje, the local carpenter, who died at 22 years of age 3 years ago, drowned before the village flooded. So far, our main suspect is Eva. Somehow. We're all switched around on the overlay, by the way. So while Eva, our favorite murderer, starts flipping cameras around, I would like to get back into the game. The music is on, but it is a song that starts incredibly quietly and then should build. Reminder to my players, we are at memory 2. We've actually unlocked the second memory, so that's nice. We're also at Wrath 2, because you're a bunch of lying assholes as a group, just in general. Choices were made. Some of you had a little more harm dealt than others, but so far everyone's alive. The medium's going strong, and the ghost of Tatje is still present, if a little ticked off. We finished the evening, the recounting of what happened in the evening, and we will move on to shortly after midnight. Even though the rain stopped in the afternoon, it continued again as soon as it got dark. And the North Sea has started to encroach on land. Waters are very much rising, and most of you at this point will be knee deep in water at the ground floor of your house. Tatje turns to Matthias. Shortly after midnight, when the water had already flooded our homes, I wasn't asleep, like so many still were. I was on my way to the lake to make sure I shored my boat up. Where were you?
I was looking for my family. I couldn't find them.
This time it was actually my mistake and not Zoom being an asshole. I will cop to that one. Frederick, what roused you from sleep before the flood came?
Well, my sheep were not very happy about the rise in water and were making quite a racket. So I went to see what was going on. And that was when I noticed that the water was getting a little bit high.
Lucas, why were you sleepless that night?
was concerned because I had valuables that were being sent across the North Sea, and I was worried they would have been destroyed in the rainstorm.
You pray for before going to bed that night.
Me?
Kersta.
Could you repeat? I didn't hear the beginning. I'm sorry.
I will continue to yell at you. What did you pray for before going to bed at night?
That night, I remember just hoping that the water would stop. I cannot afford to lose my surgery, and I know that no one in the village can afford to lose what they have here.
And what were you doing shortly after midnight?
When I realized that the water was showing no signs of slowing or receding, and there's still rain, just relentless. I went to, since obviously there was no one in my surgery, I went to the church thinking that perhaps if somebody needed aid, they would be there. And I wanted to do something.
Please send me your ferret to check some Discord. The flood took so many, so quickly. The wind carried the screams of people and livestock, more than just the sheep. I thought it was how I would die too. And yet, that is not what happened to me. The last thing I saw was the moorings of my boat as I was checking them. Matthias, why did you not prevent my death?
Couldn't get to you in time. I thought I don't know. I tried.
Lucas, why did you not prevent my death?
Gone down to the lakefront to check on my personal effects. And I had seen Matthias there. He had the look of a crazed madman about him. He was erratic. And I don't think he saw me, but I took shelter near my boxes of items, and I was afraid for my own safety as well. I would have been unable to make any effective change to anything.
Frederick, why did you not prevent my death?
I'm sorry, Katya. My dog, Hugo, he was in trouble. He was, he's getting old, long in years, can't swim quite as well as he used to. I couldn't just leave him.
You chose a dog over me.
Yeah, Hugo. My sheepdog. I used to give him treats.
Gersta, why did you not prevent my death?
Because I was not where you died.
Where were you?
I was still helping others in the village. I was not near the lake.
The whole night? Till after midnight?
I did go to the lake to see if there were some possible efforts at stemming the flooding going on there. I was busy trying to think of some way I could help the village.
You took an oath after all.
I did.
Please send me your heritage checks. All right. As you finish recounting the night in question, Frederick, a moment before you get a pounding headache, you see Judith's face twist in agony. Please take a point of harm. I must commit to a cause of action, yet I find that none of your answers has given me any clarity. In the morning, I crossed paths with Kersta outside of church. Matthias was ignoring Tatje because you didn't hear me, despite the church not being all that big. Frederick was taking his flock out to pasture as always. Lucas and Kersta were doing their usual thing of ignoring each other because, well, they're snobs in their own right. But in no different fashion. At noon, Frederick had returned to the village to grab lunch. I was present in the market square with my carpentry master, Winston. Kersta hurried by because it was an emergency at the surgery. The marketplace was just so busy and noisy because of a festival. Probably a winter fair. Matthias was still getting ready to put today's catch out for sale in the market. Simply later than normal. In the early afternoon, the winds had picked up and the storm was rising in force, and the steeple of the church fell backwards, crashing through the windows and the roof. Lucas didn't bother helping anyone. Frederick heard from other people that I slipped and hurt my foot, but did not see it themselves because they weren't even there. Matthias didn't help people trapped under the rubble because he was tired. Because fishing was so hard. Kersta picked a fight with Matthias for not helping. Fight turned physical very briefly, but who knows? Lucas was disappointed because a tutoring session that should have happened when the commotion occurred got cancelled later on in the evening. I wanted to go for a walk through my head, but Frederick stopped me because he wanted to check that I was interested in some of the wool he was going to take to market the following day. I could have my pick first. I make woolen dolls, and I lost one. No, wait. It was taken from me. That's right. I remember now. Kersta told me it was taken from me. I don't know when or by whom. Matthias stayed inside after all of this because he was cold. He wanted to get warm after a day on the water. And after midnight, I was on my way to the lake to make sure my boat was still shored up. Matthias was out looking for his family, couldn't find them. Frederick was woken up by his sheep making a racket because, well, their pasture was flooding. Lucas was sleepless because he was sending precious items, jewelry. I'm not sure again. He was sending them across the North Sea. He was worried they were being damaged in the flood. Kersta had prayed for the waters to stop rising. No one can afford to lose their livelihoods. And in the end, went to the church to see if anyone needed aid. Matthias did not prevent my death because he couldn't get to me in time. Lucas saw Matthias acting crazed and was terrified for his own safety and therefore did not interfere in anything. Frederick went and helped his dog instead of helping me. Kersta, after helping people in the village, did show up at the lake to see if there was anything to be done about the flooding, trying to think of a way to help the village. One of you here is responsible for my death, and yet no one came forward. I will simply have to return next year and deal with all of you again. And with that, the apparition that is Tatya fades out. You all take another point of harm. And the summoning circle is broken.
Well, that was a waste.
Hate to say it,
Seems
but
like we have to.
yeah, I hate to say it, but yeah, I think Lucas was right. We didn't really learn a whole lot except from what we were all doing that day.
Frederick,
Yes.
what did you take from Tatya? I saw you take something from him. I know I saw it. I know that you took something, and I didn't know how much it would matter.
Right. It was one of her little wooden carvings. One of his wooden carvings. Sorry. There, I'm getting mixed up now because we've been using Day for Tatya this whole time.
They're dead. They no longer care.
Okay. I'll go back to Day. Yeah, one of their little wooden carvings. The same one that I saw you put in their pocket.
I thought you had said it was one of the woolen dolls.
I believed it to be one of those small dolls, yes.
What was it, a doll or a wooden carving?
Frederick is the one in possession of the item. I believe he would know.
Please, it was 3 years ago. Why would anyone still have something like that?
Why would anyone take something like that? Easy enough to buy.
To tell you the truth, it was one of the carvings that Tatya made. And now that they're gone, can't really get one anymore. Call it a bit of a selfish sentimentality, I guess.
But if you had taken it before they died, why would you have grabbed it before they passed? It's not like you take things expecting someone to pass on.
I don't think it was ever specified that I took it before they passed.
I suppose that's fair. Ghosts don't necessarily have a good memory of time, I suppose. But
And, not for nothing, but Matthias, I don't necessarily blame you for not being up for helping out that day. You know, I've seen some of the fish you pull in. They're big ones. I imagine they're rather tiring to reel in.
Hey.
For what it's worth.
I appreciate your understanding.
Well, don't go too far with that, Frederick. When our disagreement happened, I can tell you that he smelled like the tavern. I don't know if tired is the correct adjective to describe his state when he decided that he was not up for helping.
Fair, but I suppose if, he had a few too many, then maybe not helping also would have been better off in the long run.
There's no reason.
Even though we seem to be cordial, Frederick, there's something that I would like to know as well.
Sure.
Why were you at their house? And why were you in such a rush and in such a devastated emotional state when you left?
Well, truth is, Tatya was... Can't believe I'm saying this now, but I may have had a little thing for Tatya. Just a little. And I figured that day was good a time as any to let him know. And didn't quite go the way I would have liked.
You've conveniently left that out when Tatya was here.
Yeah, well, I figured if they didn't want anything to do with me then, they probably wouldn't have wanted it now.
Just enough to steal one of their works, of course.
So, again, selfish sentimentality.
Yes, and now everybody has to live with this for another year.
See Judith shaking out something resembling a bedroll and simply saying, well, I was hoping this would be resolved, but I can assure you I will not be going out there tonight. No intention of being touched by an apparition and dying. Good trip home.
Well, thank you for coming all this way. I wish would you like us to treat you to a drink or something before you go? Some kind of compensation?
Oh no, I've already been paid. I simply wish you good fortune, and I will see those of you who survive next year.
Very well. Safe travels then, and hopefully next year, if we're still around, we'll see you again.
I think that Ketchta is going to be the first to leave. I'm going to stand up, kind of brush myself off, straighten my jacket, and just with my back still to the group as I reach the door. You may see Kevsta shake his head and kind of stumble a bit as the weight of the harm that he has suffered catches up to him a little bit as he stands. But he's going to leave without saying anything.
Matthias will be next and to follow Kirsta out, and he's gonna place his hands on the table and stand. And there's nothing left for me here. So if the ghost will to take me, then they can have me. He draws a flask out from underneath his coat, takes a swig, and maybe next year things might go a little different. And he opens the door with a creak. And with no other words, he walks off into the night.
Frederick will stand up. He will give another nod to the medium and to Lucas. Well, good evening to you both. I guess I should be getting back. Hugo is going to be wanting dinner soon. He'll take his cap out, place it back on his head, walk out the door.
Oh. This really was the largest waste of time, wasn't it?
You don't blame me for this. It was you and your compatriots who failed to uncover the truth.
Well, I do not blame you. I blame the bottle, and I blame liars. And I will turn tail and head out the door.
So you're all walking outside on Christmas Eve. The ghostly apparitions that you were supposed to deal with are all still around. But you all make it to your respective residences untouched and therefore unharmed. However, Frederick, as you come to your house and you go take Hugo his dinner, you see his lifeless body laying in the yard. The little woolen doll next to it. That's where we're going to end today's game. A bunch of liars. Well done.
Oh.
I hope you all had fun.
Is there a game mechanic to backtrack and like look at everybody's lies afterwards?
There is a game mechanic. I have a track sheet.
I
Which
see.
is nearly. Hang on, I can try and show it on camera, but I'll probably have to drop my background. I posted the previous one, as well, and then everyone in the group also posted their stuff in the chat when we did it. So there's a memory tracker, a wrath tracker that you triggered massively, and a lie and sympathy point tracker. I will say all but one lie was spotted. Only one person got away with a lie.
It's fascinating.
I think we're good to go around and do sign-offs. I know other people have other streams today as well, and some of those have to go to bed. Poor Europeans. Let's just start with my top left again, Doc.
Are we gonna do favorite moments as well, or?
Yes.
Okay,
We'll do official call-outs in Zoom, but your one favorite moment, very brief.
I'm Doc. You can find me on Twitter at BigDaddy_Doc. My favorite moment. I would have to say, honestly, us building the ghost was probably a favorite moment of mine. Just seeing everybody's answers and putting together this person that we really didn't know beforehand, and it really added a very good aspect to the game.
Ren.
Hi, I'm Ren, and you can follow me on the Twitter and the Twitch at Thorny Dryad, like a prickly bush. Today I played Lucas, and I did not solve a murder that is deeply makes me deeply distraught. My favorite part about this, and you know what, the biggest shame, my favorite part is when Matthias after the fact is like, then why did you go to their house? And we're all just like, what the fuck?
Yep. So game mechanics wise, for the people who haven't played this, every character is assigned a secret that they can reveal or not reveal or accuse other people of as they see fit during the game. And this group decided to start slinging mud at the very, very end, which was hilarious, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. Rick, Rakalai. Do you need like a pronunciation guide?
Yeah, so I am Rakalai, or Rakolai.
Not helping.
I will answer to pretty much any permutation of my username. You can find me on Twitter at Rakalai _ or on Twitch, twitch.tv/Rakalai. I stream very intermittently. I haven't actually done so in a while. I also do commissions for TTRPG character portraits. So if you would like me to do one for you, hit me up. We'll talk prices. Tonight I played Frederick, your killer, as was revealed at the very end. And I think my favorite part of the stream, I think it would have been the developing relationships between our characters. You know, like we started off just like not really knowing how our characters knew each other, and then we kind of built this narrative. You know, like Kirsta and Matthias had like kind of this tension going on between them that kind of blew up at the church incident. That was really cool.
That leaves me. Hi, I'm Seth.
It's your turn.
Huh?
It is your turn.
Okay. I was like, what? Okay, hi, it's me. I'm Seth. I was playing Kersta today, your physician, and I am also available to be found and play more physicians and or other roles on my Twitter account. You can find me at KillXJill. You can also find me on the Twitch at the same handle, KillXJill. If you feel like tuning into my Twitch, I am currently in the middle, or just started a charity stream as part of Thankmas 2020. I set a goal of like $300 to benefit Red Nose Society, and we are over halfway there. I only streamed for 2 hours, so y'all are wild. We'll be doing more of that every single day through the 20th. So if you feel like watching us get afraid in Phasmophobia or play Clue and completely fail at it,
God,
or
so bad at Clue. We're so bad.
Minecraft or The Forest and many other games to come, come to my channel and watch and help some kids and families in need. As far as this and tonight at 7:30 on Open for Adventure, we have the season finale of Numenera. I'm not ready. I don't want to talk about it. Okay, so in addition to that, I don't know if you heard that crash in the background.
You have cats. I'm assuming
I
that has to do with it.
Yeah. Someone opened a door. Favorite part was there's this part like in the game mechanics where like when the wrath counter hits full, and Anniek always plays the ghost a little bit differently, I feel, because the questions become like more pointed. And it was really cool hearing like the difference between those first things going, okay, yeah, I see, that makes sense, to those later scenes in like the evening and after midnight where you're like making quips about our answers. It's a really small detail, but I really enjoyed that.
Thank you. So I'm gonna be a little cheeky here. I'm not gonna talk about myself right away. I'm first gonna thank Eva, our favorite tech goblin, who's doing everything for us behind the stream, who's letting me stream on her channel because I'm scared of technology, even though I work in IT. My name is Anniek. You can find me on Twitter at Anniekster. Yeah, like I just said, I always like hijack other people's channels and they let me. So the easiest is to keep an eye on my Twitter to see what I'm doing where, because God knows. Things I do know are happening is another Stille Nacht game on Eva's channel next Tuesday. And so far, every game with every group has been completely different, even though all my questions are roughly the same. So I'm very excited to see what happens with yet another group. And then I'm running 10 candles in January, also here, which is going to be probably a little creepier than Stille Nacht usually is. And then, I don't know, Eva, is Mothership streamed? Are we announcing that? Do we have a date? I'm so confused. I'm going to be a player instead of a DM. It barely ever happens, but this time I get to play in a sci-fi horror game. I get to be on the receiving end of bad things happening to my character. Excited. And at some point, I think I might be a pirate bard. I'm gonna be a pirate bard, let's be honest. And that's one shots. And then this Wednesday, we also have a season finale. We have a season finale for Uncaged that I stream on Open for Adventure. And we still have 2 points of corruption to deal with, so it's gonna be real good. We'll see how many of my characters I take into season 2, and in what shape. Yeah. Look, they make some choices. I don't think we've announced the cast for 10 Candles, but I could if people wanted me to. I hear barely any. No, I'm pretty sure Ren is in it, who's looking very innocent in that lower corner there. And then we're gonna have Chris. Yeah, nice. Oh God, it's kind of creepy when you do that. I lost my train of thought. And then we have Mindy, Miss Mindy, who is going to bring all the feels because that's what they like to do. And then help me remember, Eva, were you playing in this one? Because you're playing in everything, right? Yeah, she'll play in this one. It'll be fine. More pain. You have to be here for tech anyway. It'll be beautiful. That one's the 24th of January. I have no idea what's going on with Mothership. I'm just a player. I don't have to do anything. I just have to show up and let people horrify me. I think that is it for us. So people can mentally prepare for Numenera and their season finale.
All I'm saying is if I die, at least I have my Saturdays back.
That is fair.
It'll be fine.
I'm just gonna go to bed. It's 11:15 p.m.
Maybe I'll go to bed instead of playing.
I mean, you could. That's valid. That's a valid choice. Anyway, thank you everybody, and see you around on one stream or another. Oh, I didn't do my favorite part. I'm sorry I had to kill the dog, but I had to kill the dog.
That was a choice.
Had to happen.
Choice
had to be done.
Decision.
Had to be done.
You mentioned it, and she was gonna use it against you. That's what she does.
Definitely a choice, not necessarily a good one.
Look, reserve your judgment for callouts. All right, in my case, good night, everybody. Enjoy what's left of your day, whatever the case.